waiting for. A field of dreams for some and a long ride home for others. Sounding so good through the air, it's like you're right there. Folks, you want the score? People, she's got your game. It's the MAYA AKAI Show featuring comedian Nikki Braden. She is pretty funny with your host, MAYA AKAI. Radio never looks so good.
Good morning. Welcome to the MAYA AKAI Show.
Good morning.
That's right. The second installment here at the new home, smooth 90.5 FM HD radio. And of course, as you know, joining the show with me is comedian Nikki Braden, Nikki B.
What's up, people?
As well as Rob G on the ones and twos. We'll add his 2 cents in, a radio veteran, so he always has something to say. We have a great show for you today, so make sure that you stay tuned in the entire time. So topics on the table. We're going to kick off the show with what's trending, those hot topics and headlines everybody's talking about that may have a local, national, or international focus. And then at noon, we're going to have some in-studio guests. We're going to have playwright, producer, and director Bamanji Tillman. And B. Cole was a comedian and the lead in Tillman's current romantic comedy stage production called Love and Heroes. They're going to discuss the upcoming encore performances because this actually happened in April and had such a good response.
Yeah, it took off and they had to do it again.
Yeah, at the Harold Washington Cultural Center that people ask for more showing, so they're out to do that. They're going to talk about the motivation behind it. It's a very unique comedy, so Bamanji will tell us a bit about that. And then, of course, at 1 o'clock, we're going to have the midday mix with Rob G, showing, like I said, his music skills. And then about 1:30, we're going to do random acts of kindness. Everyday people doing things that mean something.
That are nice.
Sometimes you just don't hear enough good news.
You do not. We have to change the world.
We got to change the world. So we're going to talk about some good things that people are doing, and then a healthy you. Some things have rolled out from the FDA that's like, hey, great, but why did it take so long for this to happen?
To figure it out.
Sure. So we're going to talk about that, make sure you're aware of some changes that might be coming to some shelves near you. And then we'll wrap up the show with talking some celebrity stuff and the side eye.
I love the side eye.
And there's plenty of conversation for the side eye conversation.
I give the side eye.
Well, Rob, you wanted to give a little flavor already early in the morning?
I mean...
I was like, okay,
I was
feeling it. I'm like, well, let's just roll with this. That was pretty good.
I don't have to talk.
That's right. We just play the music. It's 11 o'clock, a little bit, an hour before lunch. Get people perked up. But that's how the show is going to unfold. You're always welcome to interact with the show. You can go to the MAYA AKAI Show via Facebook and Twitter, or you can get a hold of Nikki at
Nikki Braden on Facebook and the Nikki Braden Instagram and Twitter.
And you are always welcome to join the conversation. You can dial into the show at 708-223-0030 as well. So some different ways you can interact. And remember, we have tons of ways that you can listen to the show. You may be listening via, you have HD radio, so you're listening to 90.5 FM HD radio on channels 2 or 3. Remember, HD radio is very expansive.
Yes.
It has 4 different channels, so the variety of music and things and talk is amazing. So, or maybe you're listening via Sirius XM radio. Maybe you have a subscription to that. We're on channel 432. Or maybe you're listening as we're streaming live online. You can listen via Live 365 or iHeartRadio.com as well. Or the simple way, if you want to watch and listen, you can go right to the station website. Just go to www.wgsjbcradio.com and you can watch and listen to the show as well. Because remember,
look at me.
That's right. Radio never looked.
It is looking great this morning.
That's right, because we are representing Black Hawks in the house tonight.
Yes.
And let me just say, first and foremost, in the What's Trending segment, I am not a bandwagon jumper. If you look at my hat, you can see this hat is worn.
My hat is not new either. I jumped on the bandwagon at the first cup. So does that count as a bandwagon?
Yeah, no. You jumped on when it was important.
When it was important.
When you realized this might be a trend.
This might be a trend. I was a trendsetter.
You were trend-setting to bandwagon jump. So obviously they closed it out at home, which was really key because it had been since 77 years since they'd actually closed out the Stanley Cup at home. That last win at home where they could lift up the Stanley Cup was in 1938.
Yes.
So it was special for a lot of reasons. So they win their 3rd Stanley Cup title, NHL title.
6 years, right?
In 6 years.
Amazing.
So of course everyone's clamoring dynasty, and you should, because this team has a core that's amazing, obviously, and Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, Patrick Sharp, Duncan Keith won the MVP award, and he should have, because he was dynamic through the entire series. And especially like in the series against Tampa Bay, he was just amazing. So he was actually the MVP. But they got some big things to do in the offseason, because Brandon Saad, the man-child on the ice, it has a contract that has to be renewed, and I'm pretty sure.
You think he's gonna?
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely.
He's someone you don't let go.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's as much of the young core that they have as Patrick Sharp and Patrick Kane are. It's really key. So a few off season things are going to have to do, but I have faith they'll get it done. So with that being said, the celebrations will be on Thursday.
Yes, and where is it this time?
It's actually opposed to being in Grant Park. It's going to be in Soldier Field.
Isn't that something? You can get tickets for that?
You got to get tickets. So at noon, tickets will be available on Ticketmaster.com. You only will be able to get 4. Remember, we're talking Soldier Field, so that's limited seating.
Yes.
There will be a parade that leads to that point.
Okay.
There's no tailgating, and FYI, there'll be no liquor served. They kept saying that.
Wow.
When they talked about it. Don't worry, people will be toasted when they get there. So if you want to, celebrate, I've already gone to 2 of them, so I'm going to pass up on this one.
Okay.
And it's probably going to rain if I show up.
It probably will.
So I'm going to pass up. So if you're interested in doing this, make sure at noon you're at you
have to get in and jump in.
You should already be logged on to Ticketmaster and be ready to hit the link, because those are probably going to go, I'd say, in less than 15 minutes.
I think so.
I think it'll be huge. They said the last 2 parades and rallies that they had, more than 2 million people showed up.
2 million people, isn't it?
2 million people don't fit in Soldier Field.
They do not.
So with that being said, if this is something you really want to do, make sure at noon you are ready to go. So, Blackhawks bring something good to the city.
Congratulations, Blackhawks.
That's right. So we're representing today. We've got our Blackhawks gear on.
We do.
And also I was having a bad hair day, so it was a good idea.
I was too. I was like, I can wear a hat.
It was a good idea. I'm like,
you get a twofer.
You get a twofer for that. Then the big conversation out there: Golden State Warriors.
My bandwagon is full today. I'm telling you.
No, I picked them. I did well before this. In fact, I made a couple things that I'm going to have to talk to Farouk about when the Sports Cipher comes back to the air. One, I said a key to Golden State winning this series will be Andre Iguodala. FYI, he's a Springfield, Illinois native. People didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, he went to school in Arizona. He was a high draft pick in 2004. People are more familiar with Iguodala when he was with the 76ers. Mm-hmm. Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, very dynamic. I knew he was going to be integral in pretty much, getting Golden State the win. They won in big fashion. They really, really did.
They did.
He was a difference maker. Steve Kerr, former Bull. Mm-hmm. First year head coach with Golden State, pulls this off. But here's the thing, and I said this before literally the game happened, that I kind of started to feel a little bit bad for LeBron, because the doom and gloom was kind of being talked about in the broadcast before.
Yes.
Like, hey, he comes home, the prodigal son comes home to Cleveland. If he wins, this is fantastic. If he doesn't, it's kind of like, how will Cleveland feel about it? Well, the expectation shouldn't be that they would get this far in the first year anyways.
Sure.
And I still say this. If Kevin Love and if Kyrie Irving are in uniform, this might be a different outcome. You can't look at LeBron.
He was by himself. I mean, you started. I'm not a hater, but I'm not a fan. But even at the end last night, I was like, oh, I wanted to give him a little hug.
I felt bad for him.
Didn't you?
You could really tell. And he actually just solidly said, we just ran out of talent. Now, I wonder if that comment's going to come back to bite him.
You know it is.
Because I don't think that's what you really wanted to say.
It's not what he meant, but I know.
No, that's what he meant. He wasn't supposed to say it. The filter was off. Like, we just ran out of talent.
Wow.
Did you mean steam? Or
no, look, I said talent.
I just would have been like, hey, Golden State, they're a very talented team. They brought it, and obviously, hey, we got to accept the loss. I would have never said that. So I'm pretty sure he's about to be roasted. He was already being roasted when they lost. The memes have already come out. There was one where they're in a huddle, and he was like, look, if we lose, I'm leaving again. That's just wrong. And then people have already started to give him a hard time about the loss. I kind of feel bad for him. I really do.
Yeah.
It means a lot to him.
He was a good sport at the end. He went and hugged everybody and shook their hands.
He did. He hugged Steph Curry.
Yes, he did.
And who I just think is just phenomenal. I love
him. He won me up. That little girl. I had no dog and no horse in this race at all. But that little girl, I was like, oh, I got to root for your pops now.
That is a person who, they just look like they love each other, don't they?
Yes, they do. How can you not root for that? So I was bandwagon Golden State. I'll admit that.
I picked Golden State, and I said that Andre Iguodala would be huge, and he was the MVP of the series. So, that's a big conversation, because a lot of people didn't think that Golden State, if it went this deep into the series, that they would pull it off. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. On the road, big win. And I was like, if they don't pull this off, if you let Cleveland stay alive, I know you get to go home, but it's going to be tough.
Yes.
And LeBron had a phenomenal game.
It was almost a close little comeback. I started to get worried at the end. With those couple seconds, it was shaving down. But they closed it in. It was like within 6. And I was like, we might either go into double overtime or it might go to 7. So
yeah, nobody could look at LeBron and have anything negative to say about him.
No,
he really did everything that he was supposed to do. So big win for Golden State.
Congratulations.
Unfortunately, we'd like to say this in Chicago, but hey,
I don't think we got a wow for that.
Take some notes.
Came a long way.
Yes, they did.
Never know what kind of
Right now, they kicking in Oakland.
crossover
They are.
Too legit to quit.
357.
That's right, 357 Oaktown. They're like having a ball out of Oakland. And this is big because Golden State had not won a title in 40 years. Believe it or not, Cleveland is sitting. The Cavaliers are sitting at 50 years, and they were saying in the city of Cleveland, combined with the Indians, the Browns, and the Cavaliers, 143 seasons of nobody winning. That's how just hard they went on Cleveland.
That's
143 seasons combined of all their sports teams.
I didn't even know Golden State was a team for 40 years. I thought they just surfaced around the last 10.
Expansion-wise, they were having an expansion, but
Right.
and now the conversation partially about this is, well, if you had let Mark Jackson stay coach a little bit longer, he probably could have done this. So people are already starting to talk about that.
Yeah.
They're already starting to say, kind of taking a little bit of credit away from Steve Kerr. Hey, he did his job.
He did his job.
So that was a must-watch series. Initially, I didn't think it would be that great. Turned out to be dynamic.
It turned out to be a fabulous series. Like, I was even tuning in,
Yeah.
like, for all of them. So I tuned in for all of them. A fabulous series. Congratulations, Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, good stuff. So now it's kind of like, what are you supposed to watch?
It's nothing
hockey's
now.
over,
Yes.
basketball's over, baseball in Chicago is a little questionable. Yeah. But if you're looking for something you want to watch, other things that are out there trending is literally a couple weeks ago, Janet Jackson revealed that she was back in the studio working on a new studio album.
She did.
Wow. Well, she's already came out and announced that she is going to have the Unbreakable tour, has given dates and everything, and she's actually coming to Chicago. She's going to be here, I want to say it's in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so tickets are actually going on sale Monday.
For everybody?
Well, actually, what's interesting is if you happen to be an American Express card holder,
Yes.
you can actually do a pre-sale.
Really?
So the pre-sale is actually for you special American Express people.
Membership does have its privileges.
It does have its privileges. So actually, they can purchase now in the pre-sale. She's going to be at the Chicago Theater.
Okay.
And then tickets go on.
Not the United Center?
That's what I kind of thought. I'm like, she can clearly sell out the United
She
Center.
can do the United
I don't know. Maybe
Center.
she's just creeping back into it because she's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe she's not sure how people will respond to it, but she should know better. She should
Janet.
know that you're Janet and you've been out for a while.
Sometimes people don't check for you, though.
But here's the thing, though. But when she announced it, I was like ecstatic that she had an album coming out. I was like, when is Janet Jackson going to do something? Here's the thing. She don't even have to sing a new song.
She does not.
She don't have to sing a new song. She can just do all her old Janet stuff.
Yes.
And it's just fine, and I don't need more than that.
And usually that's what people want to hear anyway. When you come and you start singing new stuff, like Prince did, it was like, don't sing Purple Rain. Nobody wants to hear this new stuff you just created. So people want the old stuff.
Yeah, people definitely want the old stuff. So they're not even interested in that. So she's working on the album, but she's getting right there on the tour, which makes me think before she even announced the album, she probably was already working on it. Because she actually announced it on her birthday.
Okay.
So now the tour is coming out. It's called the Unbreakable World Tour.
Tickets range from $45 to $250. Look, people, these $250 tickets are
I
getting
went
out of
online
control.
just to peep out what the tickets were. I was like, 'cause I want a good seat. I was like, I'm gonna have to drop $200.
That's out of control.
Well, I ain't paying for nobody to go.
You have to go by yourself.
Right. Or you better have your money. No, you can't pay me. PayPal me ahead of time before I go online and buy the tickets.
That's a car payment. 2 people. That's a car payment. That's crazy.
But here's the thing, though. Some artists to me are worth it.
You got to come to my house for $250. I'm sorry.
She's kicking the tour off actually in Canada, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, really, you're gonna kick it off in Vancouver, Canada, in August. And then she closes out in Hawaii. That's a good thing.
That is great.
And she's only doing like select dates. She's going through August through the beginning of November. So she's actually not doing
a lot.
A huge tour.
Right.
But she's doing those, like I said, those 2 dates at the Chicago Theater. So there's a whole lot of people. Go on sale.
Fans.
Go on sale Monday. It's another one of those things. You better be on Ticketmaster or you will miss your tickets.
Yes.
So that's something else. And actually, another big thing that people are talking about is obviously Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence is coming to the Horseshoe Casino in Indiana. Actually, the tickets went on sale, I do believe, yesterday at Ticketmaster. And he will be there August 29th at 8 p.m. So I don't think he's done stand-up in a while. So that's another thing. If you probably don't, I haven't even checked, but you might want to get your tickets. And I'm excited to see him. I haven't seen him do stand-up like in a very long time.
I've never seen Martin Lawrence do stand-up. So
I mean,
to
not
me,
live, but you've seen it,
right?
yeah.
Well, but recorded. That to me, that's
Sure.
always a different beast.
Oh,
When you see
yes.
people live, opposed to when you see like a recorded special, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of been away from it for a minute.
Yes.
So I'll be curious, if the funny
It's still there.
is still there.
He's Martin. He'll pull it off.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so. All he had to do is just do some
But
refreshing.
I'm like the Horseshoe Casino in Indiana.
Well, that venue, it's called the Venue. It's like a theater. So, but I mean, once again, is it maybe you can look at it 2 ways. It's either playing it safe, or it's he wants to have a more intimate setting and not. Let's be honest. I don't think he could sell out an arena.
I don't think so.
He could probably, but he could have done the Chicago Theater.
He could have done Chicago easily.
He could have done the Chicago Theater. So. that's another thing that people have absolutely been talking about. You know, you've got a lot of good stuff happening. You know, you got Janet Jackson, you know, coming in concert. Now, you got Martin Lawrence. A lot of stuff is going on. So I hope people made their summer budget because
you don't need one.
Well, Janet alone might dip into no vacations. No vacations for the kind of money, you know, that she's asking for is kind of crazy. But here's the thing, I'm going to pay it because I paid that kind of money for Sade, and it was worth every cent that I paid.
You paid $250 for Sade.
It was like 100
to be sad.
like 180. Girl,